It's natural to ask how consumers and producers are affected if there's a shift in the supplier demand curve. In a previous video, we talked about what might shift it, but we're also often very interested in understanding what happens to the welfare, if you will, of the consumers and producers that are in a market where there's some change that has occurred that has fundamentally altered the situation. So I want to talk about this in the context of a particular example of a supply curve shift in the market for natural gas in the United States. So one of the things that has happened in the decade of the early part of the 21st century is an increase in the production of natural gas in the United States as a consequence of fracking. So fracking is a technological change which has lowered the cost of producing natural gas. So what that technological change is going to do is going to shift the supply curve down as the costs go down, or equivalently at any given price they'll be willing to produce more. But bottom line is that there'll be a shift in this supply curve. And I'm going to depict that by just a simple shift in the supply curve drawn on the curve with this black line. Now, as we've talked about before, it's pretty clear that you're going to have a decrease in the price of this good. Draw that a little bit more carefully. And that's going to benefit consumers of this product for sure. Now, how do we measure that? Well, we use consumer surplus. Let's draw in some, or use some letters. Consumer surplus before the technological change was area A. So they received these consumer benefits, the difference between what they were willing to pay and what they had to pay, equal to A. After the shift, they have A, B, C, D. There is an improvement in consumer surplus equal to the difference in the price over to the demand curve. Clear benefit to consumers because they're facing a lower price. Producers are a little bit trickier. Because remember, producer surplus is defined based on the cost of producing something compared to the revenue that they get, but the costs have changed. So how do we evaluate that? Well, let's take a look. Let me add another letter in here. Okay, the producer surplus before the technological change was area B, E. Okay, it was this triangle, if you will. Okay, this dollar amount, this benefit associated with the sale of this product. After the technological change, after the supply curve change, we have a whole new situation to analyze. Because we can't use that old supply curve to calculate the producer surplus. We have to look at the new one. Okay? So for the new situation, we've got a price equal to P1 star you go over to the price and down. And so what you have in this case is a producer surplus after the change of EF. Well, okay, they were earning E in both circumstances. That was part of the producer surplus. But if you look at kind of the net effects, it's really, area B versus area F. What this reflects, because B is lost to these firms as the price goes down. Okay, they have, because of the differences in technological conditions, the increase in the supply curve, they sell this product for a lower price. But their costs have gone down, and the amount that they sell have gone up. And this area B and F reflect those ambiguous effects. So it's really impossible to say a priori, ahead of the game, whether or not an increase in technological capabilities, a lower cost, will actually help producers or not. It might, or it might not. Unambiguous benefit to consumers, though. They clearly gain this area BCD. So when you talk about shifts in supply and demand curves, it's a little bit more complicated than a market where simply the price changes, where the winners and losers are very clear.